Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Enrico Dolcegueri. Welcome to another episode of Living a Full Life. This week's episode is about wearable devices. You may have one, two, three of these things that you've bought over the years, and we are going to go through how to maximize their usage in this podcast. So I'll have 7 or 8 great tips for you on how to use your wearable devices. What's a wearable device? Since the Fitbit first came out over a decade ago and the first model, these wearable devices have been attached to Apple Watches, Fitbits, other things that have come and gone, other brands, and they all have the same goal in mind: it's to track data. And as cool as that may be, it only means so much if we know what to do with it. And wearable devices can be hugely beneficial to many different things. Wearable devices goes back to biotech and medicine, where we were putting on glucose monitors, nicotine patches, hormone patches, and other types of wearable devices in medicine to help people have slow release, whether it is pharmaceutical medication, insulin, proteins, whatever it may be, to help them there. So it's not a new thing, but the concept of using technology as a wearable device is fairly newer, which is pretty cool as technology continues to improve. So this is a little bit more fun of a techie podcast for everyone, but there's some really cool brands out there that can really help you with whatever goals you may have. And they can be powerful. They can help you with things like improving your sleep quality or enhancing exercise routines, or doing much more fun things on monitoring maybe your activity levels. So some pretty cool things. From fitness to just tracking calories, things can be monitored, but only to a level of what you use them. Now, put up your hand. Even though this is audio, put up your hand if you feel that you have some of these devices, but really never use them to their full potential. Or maybe they were cumbersome. I think we all have. But as these become easier to wear and easier to use, if we download the proper apps and use them appropriately, it can tell us some really cool information about our overall health. So the most popular ones are probably your Apple Watch, if you have one of those. Fitbit was really big. And some new things like Whoop that I just heard about, WHOOP, more for the fitness buffs out there. But all of these things play great roles in helping you collect data. So here's the best way to use your wearable devices. First off, before you even buy one, is to set clear goals on what you're going to do with this wearable device. If you never wear watches and you decide to go out and get an Apple Watch or some type of watch or a Garmin watch to track data, you may be setting yourself up for failure because you probably don't wear watches because you don't like them. I used to wear watches and then I stopped for a long time. But once the Fitbit came out, I did wear it, but I wasn't so good at it because the Fitbit only kept track of a couple things: heart rate, sleep, and it wasn't even that good. And I stopped wearing it for a while. Then I ended up getting an Apple Watch. And finally, from the 3 to the 5 series, that's where I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And I do wear it consistently. And I keep track of some certain things, but you may want to keep track of the same things or different things. So set clear goals on what you're doing. Let's say you want to set a 10,000 step per day goal. It's a great thing. Fitbit does that as well. Many other things do that. Your phone can do that just in your pocket. That can be a wearable device just by keeping your phone, both Android or Apple, in your pocket. Will keep track of your movement pretty good, pretty well. Sometimes you set your phone down. Sometimes you take it out to charge. So you may lose some steps there. But if it's just for steps, maybe buying, a $300 or $500 watch or $900 watch may not be a good use for cost per dollar on that. So think about that. So what is it? Is it just steps? Do you want to use some of the built-in features that are there? What do you want to take advantage of? So set up your goals first. So let's say I don't even know anymore. I don't even know if I'm getting good sleep. I don't even know how many steps I get. I do want to be more exercise conscious. I do want to take care of my health a little bit more. Well, maybe these things can be motivational, which data has shown that wearing these devices does motivate people to use them. I remember Fitbit and their step challenge. You'd have a step challenge and you could invite people and friends to it. And each day, at the end of the day, at midnight, you'd see who won. And then you'd catch into it and see everyone running around their house at 11:55 p.m. trying to beat the other person. But those were cool, and they motivated people to get up and move, which was great. So once we get into the tech and whatever you choose, to make it beneficial long term is to stay up with your device. So keep it updated, regularly sync it, follow the syncing that's needed for it so that your data is kept current. Even the daily data, you can sync things daily, and it's usually automatic, but all you have to do is double check it. Make sure it's all been synced up. And this takes a few seconds every day just to look at it. Open it up, the app, make sure it's all updated. When a new feature comes out, you turn on the notification so that that update does happen. That's a great way for device health to keep that on top of that. Then you want to customize these notifications and alerts not only to the updating the software, but also to set you reminders. Maybe it's a stand reminder. Maybe you work at a desk all day. You work there for 6, 7 hours a day, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to set up my stand thing for every 60 minutes or every 45 minutes or every 30 minutes, whatever it is, whatever's realistic for you to get up. It's great to stand up for a few minutes and walk away and come back down just for cardiovascular health. Or maybe it's a sleep notification to tell you, at 9:30 p.m., hey, 30 minutes before bedtime, it's time to go to bed because you got a 10 o'clock goal to go to bed and you got a 5 o'clock goal of waking up. So in order to do that, you need to be in bed by 10 p.m. So that's great too. So sleep-friendly reminders, sleep-friendly settings, stand settings, notification maybe by 6 p.m. if you've met your 10,000 step challenge. If not, and then you have some time left in the evening to maybe go for that last walk or jog that might get you past that 10,000. Food settings, when to eat, when to stop eating, maybe you're intermittent fasting. Lots of different things you can do to set up with notifications to keep you accountable. That's the whole point of these wearable devices. They're technology to help keep you accountable to whatever goals it is that you're setting up. I think they're a great tool. Sleep. I think sleep is the number one reason people search for these devices. So in order to do that, you have to find something that's wearable at night. Again, if you're not a watch wearer, well, this might become uncomfortable. But even if you're not, and that is the best device that you've done your search on, then you might get used to it over time. So I did, and it worked really well. So the key with sleep is to wear it during the night. It's the only way to actually see and track your sleep. These devices are all based on movement. So watches and phones and all these things are based on movement. If sleep is your number one goal, you're like, listen, all I want to make sure is that I'm tracking sleep properly. Sleep's been rough for me. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to get healthier with it. It's my number one goal is to sleep better. Then you might want to look at the Aura Ring or some types of rings that have technology in them. They're actually much more wearable and easier to wear, and the data for sleep is even better. So they're all based on slight movements, cycling through deep, light, and REM sleep. So it's all based on movement. So these are great things as well to look into depending on your goals. Lots of different technology out there, but I've pretty much given you the top 4 devices that are out there that you might want to stick with. So that would be, in order to get sleep tracking, we need to use it when we're sleeping. Make sense? So review sleep insights on a daily basis. So once that data is downloaded, you can then start to plot. And the nice thing about data, if you've ever taken statistical analysis or any type of statistics class in high school or even college, what you learn is the more data you have, the more reliable that data becomes. Taking one picture in one moment in time can tell a lot of different stories, and many of them may be false. But taking 1,000 pictures in one moment of data gives you so much more perspective of what's going on and really clears up a lot of the stories. So same thing with data. The more data you get over time, the better your perception of what the data actually means. So that's the point of that. So monitoring your data for 3 nights for sleep improvement probably isn't going to be enough. Monitoring it for 300 nights, well, now you're going to get a great data plot on how you sleep. So the longer you wear these things, the better the data. So use activity tracking as well. So we talked about sleep. How about activity? So you can track your steps, you can track exercise. So I've got 3 settings on mine. 30-minute of actual exercise per day. So we want to get at least 30 minutes of that. And then we want to get at least 8 hours of standing per day, at least 8 hours. So we have that. And then we want to get 10,000 steps per day. So those are my 3 movement things. My steps do count for my exercise as well. So that's where I tackle a lot of my steps each day as well. But those are my three goals. That's why I set it up to. I wasn't hitting the 12 or 12-hour goal of standing every day. So I made sure it was at least 8. It's a realistic one. And then I found myself actually hitting the 12 hours, but my goal was 8. So that's how we kept that going. So there's a lot of different things there. How about heart rate monitoring? That's on there. There's oxygen blood oxygen level monitoring, there's respiratory monitoring, there's actual alerts you can set for AFib risks on there. Not super accurate, but definitely will tell a change the more data you longer you wear it. It will tell when changes are happening with low oxygen, low heart rate, or AFib type thing. So there's some pretty cool things with activity that you can do there as well. And leverage the heart rate stuff. Use that. Turn on those things. Use heart rate zones for your workouts. You can then actually monitor and see how long you're in the goal of what you want to do. So let's say you're getting back into fitness and you're like, yeah, weight loss is my goal. I want to use fitness to stay strong. I'm going to watch my diet, but I do want to um, optimize my fitness for weight loss. There is different ways to work out for this. So once you learn and you listen to my other podcasts about fitness or exercise, you then figure out what it means to be strong, gain muscle, lose weight. There's all different goals when it comes to exercise. So let's say we're on the weight loss goal. We're going to optimize steady state cardio, which is walking, jogging, biking, elliptical, stairmaster, whatever it may be. And you're going to set a goal for 30 minutes and say, hey, I want to stay in that fat burn zone. And let's say you're in your 40s. So you want to be between 120 and 130 beats per minute. Or maybe you're in your 60s. You want to be between 110, 120 beats per minute for the full 30 minutes and stay in a steady state cardio. That is where fat is burned mostly. We deplete the glycogen. We get into fat burn. Then we know right when we leave the workout, we probably don't want to eat right away. We want to keep that fat burn going for 60 minutes or 90 minutes. Those are the little goals, right? With what you learn. But now you're monitoring everything. You can see it on your watch. You can glance down every 60 seconds and look at your watch and be like, yeah, I'm at 122 beats per minute. I'm doing great. I'm going to stay here. Or maybe you look down and it's 155. I know my workouts so well that because I do them 6 days a week, that after a year and a half, I barely look at my watch. But if I see something on the screen, especially during elections coming up, and you see a subtitle on the news prompter, and you look down like 155. Well, geez, why is my heart rate 155? I didn't change anything. And just the state of mind of watching that news go by, and you're like, wow, I'm going to stop watching that screen. I'm going to watch the college football highlights from last Saturday on the other screen. And you just change your mind and mindfulness to something else. You look back, you're back at 132. You're like, wow, that's amazing how that happens. So mind over matter, right? So these are little things that can be useful. Those are just using my examples of when I've noticed when I exercise. Explore companion apps too and integrations. The cool thing about technology is that they'll come with an app, but they also work with other apps, like MyFitnessPal, for example. It syncs with a bunch of other health apps, like the health app or the fitness app on the Apple iWatch, where you can load up your you can keep track of the foods that you eat, and then that shows the total calories. You can sync it up with your Apple Watch, and then it will tell you, okay, this is how many calories you burned today through exercise and total expenditure based on your BMR that you set before. Here's what you ate. Pretty cool. And maybe it's because you like the MyFitnessPal way of entering data for calories rather than the calorie apps on Apple. Make sense? I find MyFitnessPal really easy. You can even just take a picture of food and it will calculate. It's pretty cool. Or barcodes. Very cool there. That's what it's called. That's what it's called to use integrations or companion apps with the app that you bought, right? So sync other health apps and explore add-ons too. They don't always have to cost anything. They can be usually free, but explore these things. Once you maximize these things and they become cool and easier to use, that's the key. Once they become easier to use and automatically start syncing, now you got way more data for easier way. But once you start using 4, 5, 6 different apps, it can be cumbersome. And that's why people quit using this stuff altogether. So get good at that. Review and analyze your data too. That's the whole point of this, is make sure you're reviewing this on a weekly basis and just set aside some time looking at trends and activities in either sleep quality, heart rate, whatever it is, depending on the goals that you set at the beginning, and adjust based on insights too. So based on what you're finding through the data, you can make adjustments in your life. Be like, man, I am definitely not getting that 8 hours of standing per day. What can I do to get there? I'm only getting 4 on average. How am I going to get to 8? And this thing says I need to do 12. How am I ever going to get to 12? Well, maybe you introduce a sit-stand desk at your office, completely change the way you work, and now you're hitting the 8, 12-hour stand goal every single day because all you changed was you show up to the office, maybe you work from home or you work at an office, and right when you get there at 9 a.m., you stand until lunchtime. You just get there and you start the day standing. You get back from lunch, you sit down, you bring the desk down, and you sit for the afternoon. You do that for the rest of your life. You just cut out half of the sitting time from your work career over your duration of the rest of your career, which is amazing for your cardiovascular health, right? All because you wanted to get that blue ring closed on your app for standing. Very cool, right? So review and analyze this stuff, and then you make adjustments. And the key is to be consistent. Once you set up these things, be consistent with it. Don't give up on the technology. That's why it has to be comfortable, it has to be something you're going to use often and regularly. That's the thing. And be consistent. Wear it, build the habits around it, and technology can actually be your friend. It's actually pretty cool stuff when you use your apps properly. You get some great data from it. And one last tip for all of you, if you know me, privacy, your safety, all that good stuff, keep in mind your privacy and how much stuff you sync, read reviews, read blogs on technology, make sure your data is safe. And don't just download any app just because it looks good. Make sure it's a verified app in the Apple Store if you're using Apple, in the Google Store if you're using Android, whatever it may be, verified apps, and then read some blogs on it too. Malware, malicious spyware, anything that's put on there will be in these blogs. You can pretty much Reddit or YouTube anything. Say, thinking about buying the new series iPhone, what's the best fitness app out there? And then you'll get tons of comments on real life people that have used it and some techie people that may have some insights for you. I'm all about privacy. I'm all about safety in this digital world we're in with technology. That is important to me. Might be important to you as well. Just something to think about before you do that. But if you stay with the main apps and you stay on brand, you should be pretty good with that. Check out some new things too, like the new Whoop app. If you're a fitness, that looks pretty cool. That thing is tracking even more in-depth REM cycles of sleep, muscle strain, putting your body in strain, mental strain. Cool stuff. I don't know how accurate it is, but this is the new cool thing that all the Olympians are sponsoring. So maybe it's good. I don't know. Check it out. Have fun with it. Use your apps. And the goal and why I did this podcast, so that you live a healthy life. That's what it's all about. Whatever helps you live healthier, we are all for and on your side. Have a great and healthy week.